Just a few years ago, the idea that Boeing 737 MAX orders would surge again in the United States sounded almost impossible. After 2 tragic accidents, a global grounding, and years of intense regulatory scrutiny, many observers believed airlines might permanently move away from the aircraft. Confidence in the program had been deeply affected. Yet today, the situation looks very different. Major US airlines are once again committing to large orders, production plans are expanding, and the 737 MAX has returned to the center of long-term fleet strategies across the country. So in this video, we take a look at why Boeing 737 MAX orders are booming again in the United States, the economic and strategic forces driving airline decisions, how the aircraft compares to its Airbus rival, and the risks that could still shape its future. The first part of the answer comes down to timing and demand. US airlines are expanding again, domestic travel remains strong, and many fleets are approaching a major replacement cycle. A large portion of narrow-body aircraft currently flying in the United States were built in the early to mid-2000s. These jets have served airlines well for decades, but they are reaching a point where heavier maintenance checks, rising fuel burn, and newer passenger expectations make them less competitive. For carriers operating large fleets of Boeing 737NG aircraft, the 737 MAX arrives at exactly the right moment in that generational transition. Fuel efficiency is one of the most powerful drivers behind these decisions. Fuel is constantly one of the largest expenses in an airline's cost structure, and even small improvements matter when multiplied across thousands of flights every year. Compared with earlier 737 models, the MAX offers meaningful fuel burn reductions and lower operating costs per seat. Much of that improvement comes from the aircraft's CFM LEAP engines and advanced winglet design. On high-frequency domestic routes, those savings accumulate quickly, making the aircraft attractive for airlines planning long-term fleet upgrades. One of the clearest signals of this renewed confidence came when Alaska Airlines announced the largest airplane order in its history in early 2026. The airline committed to dozens of additional 737-10 aircraft, reinforcing its strategy of maintaining a streamlined all-Boeing mainline fleet. Alaska has long emphasized the value of fleet commonality. When an airline operates a single aircraft family, pilots require fewer type ratings, maintenance teams specialize in one system, and spare parts logistics become far simpler. By expanding its MAX orders, Alaska effectively doubled down on that operational efficiency. Another major turning point came when Delta Airlines placed a surprise order for the 737-10. That announcement attracted attention across the aviation industry because Delta had leaned heavily toward Airbus narrow-body aircraft in recent years. By choosing the largest variant of the MAX family, Delta signaled renewed confidence in Boeing's narrow-body platform and in the economics of the aircraft itself. The move suggested that airline planners were looking not only at past controversies but also at the long-term realities of fleet growth and operating costs. Flexibility is another reason the MAX family fits well into the US aviation market. Airlines in the United States operate in a wide variety of route environments. A Monday morning business shuttle between major financial centers requires different capacity than a weekend leisure flight to Florida or Las Vegas. The 737 MAX family allows airlines to scale capacity across several variants while maintaining cockpit and operational compatibility. That flexibility helps carriers tailor aircraft size to specific routes without complicating fleet operations. Delivery timing has also become a major strategic factor. The aerospace industry is still recovering from supply chain disruptions that slowed aircraft production around the world. Airbus production lines are heavily booked for years into the future, meaning that airlines looking to expand or replace aircraft sooner must consider realistic delivery windows. Boeing's plan to gradually increase 737 production rates has made those delivery positions particularly valuable. Airlines are not only buying aircraft performance, they're also securing future growth capacity before delivery backlogs extend even further into the 2030s. Of course, whenever the 737 MAX enters a fleet discussion, comparisons with Airbus are inevitable. The main competitor is the Airbus A320neo family, especially the larger A321neo, which has built an enormous global backlog and a reputation for range and versatility. The A321neo allows airlines to operate longer routes with narrow-body economics, and it has become extremely popular among airlines worldwide. For carriers that already operate Airbus fleets, the appeal is obvious. The A319, A320 and A321 share cockpit consistency, which simplifies pilot training and scheduling across mixed Airbus operations. But for US airlines that already operate hundreds of Boeing 737NG aircraft, the equation looks very different. Transitioning to the 737 MAX allows those airlines to retain pilot certifications, avoid major simulator investments, and continue using existing maintenance infrastructure. When an airline operates hundreds of narrow-body aircraft across multiple hubs, operational continuity has enormous financial value. The ability to maintain a familiar fleet structure often outweighs small differences in aircraft performance. Incremental improvements in range or seat capacity matter, but they are rarely the only factor guiding fleet decisions. Airline executives and financial analysts are also watching Boeing's broader recovery closely. Investors see steady MAX deliveries as essential to Boeing's long-term financial stability. As production oversight improves and cash flow projections strengthen, analysts believe Boeing could be positioning itself for a future production surge. For airlines, those signals reinforce confidence that the manufacturer will be able to support their fleet plans well into the future. However, the resurgence of MAX orders does not mean the program is free of risk. Boeing continues to operate under intense oversight from regulators, particularly the Federal Aviation Administration. After the earlier crises and more recent production quality concerns, regulatory supervision has become more detailed and procedural. Everything from inspection routines to manufacturing processes is closely monitored. Certification of the 737-10 remains especially important because several major US airlines are relying on that variant to support future growth. Any delay in certification could ripple directly into delivery schedules and network planning. Supply chain pressures also remain a concern. Aircraft production depends on a vast network of suppliers, including engine manufacturers, specialized component producers, and skilled labor. Many parts of the aerospace supply chain are still rebuilding capacity after years of disruption. Increasing production rates requires coordination across hundreds of companies, and any slowdown in that process could delay aircraft deliveries. Economic uncertainty is another factor that airlines must consider. Fleet decisions are planned years in advance, but they remain sensitive to fuel prices, travel demand, and broader economic trends. If domestic travel slows or operating costs rise sharply, airlines may defer deliveries or adjust expansion plans. Large aircraft orders usually include options and flexible timelines precisely because airlines know market cycles can change. For passengers, that likely means newer aircraft, quieter cabins, and more efficient flights on familiar routes. For Boeing, the renewed demand represents something equally important: trust returning from its largest and most influential market. The scale of recent orders from airlines like Alaska and Delta suggests that this is not just a short-term recovery. These are long-term commitments that reflect planning decisions stretching decades into the future. Airlines are aligning operational simplicity, fuel efficiency, and network flexibility with aircraft that fit their existing infrastructure. In the end, the Boeing 737 MAX boom in the United States comes down to a combination of timing, economics, and strategy. Fleet replacement cycles are accelerating, domestic demand remains strong, and airlines are competing to secure future delivery slots before backlogs grow even longer. If Boeing continues to deliver aircraft consistently and navigate the remaining regulatory challenges, the MAX could once again become the backbone of short and medium-haul flying across the United States well into the 2030s. What do you think? Do you believe the Boeing 737 MAX has fully regained the confidence of airlines and passengers? Or do the risks still surrounding the program leave questions about its long-term future? Let us know by leaving a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more aviation content. See you next time. In addition to our daily YouTube videos, Simple Flying publishes over 150 articles and a podcast every week. Visit simpleflying.com.